In a world where a man's mind can be investigated and enumerated, one man will undergo testing.
All right, so somebody wanted to know, what's up with the numbers, man? I don't know what those numbers mean. And so I know what those numbers mean. So what happened? This is a multi-year issue that we're dealing with right now. My children go to a private school, and they were both evaluated by the public school system and were told that they didn't qualify for services, despite the fact that both of my children go to occupational therapy on a weekly basis. So the therapy services that they should be getting through the school system are not being provided. So we appealed the decision, and as part of the appeal process, we are able to take our evaluation to an outside evaluator. And so we went to a psychologist. My kids have both been tested, actually my daughter's been tested. My son still needs to be tested. But there was a thought that if I got tested first, then it would be easier for my kids to establish any kind of diagnosis or issue that they need to have addressed. I don't know. My wife knows this stuff. Anyway, I went to go get tested. They gave me a whole bunch of tests. I was there for a couple hours taking all these different tests that they had. And then what I posted the other day in the Discord is the results of that, or at least part of the results from that. There's a bunch of other stuff that I didn't post because it's secret, but part of it is not really an IQ test, but they were testing my ability to do. So for example, on the first one, the repeatable battery for the assessment of neuropsychological status, or RBANS. They tested my immediate memory, my visuospatial constructional ability, my language, my attention, my delayed memory, and then they compute a total scale score. So what the psychologist told me when he was showing me this, so there's that. He said that when they create their composite score, that is normalized to a 100. So 100 is considered like the average. That's the 50th percentile, where half of the people would be above 100, half would be below. And then based on your composite score, you get your percentile. Now, if you've never dealt with percentiles before, basically, so like in here where it says immediate memory, I'm in the 93rd percentile. That means that my composite score is better than 93% of everybody that they have when they were coming up with the scales for it. They test a bunch of people, and then that kind of creates the percentile. 93% of people, I would essentially test, man, my brain's not working. My score corresponds to about better than 92 to 93% of test takers. I can't remember if 93rd percentile means 92% of people below or 93. Ultimately, who cares? Not really that much of a thing. So for example, on this set of tests, I've got all of these different scores, and then down below you have the total scale, and that's kind of like the overall score. And when you look at people, I would be expected to be test higher in all of these categories than 99.9% of people. So I'm just really smart. It's what I do. I know this, and I'm not really bragging about it, but someone asked me to do it. So here we have the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, 4th edition. And once again, they're looking at verbal comprehension, perceptual reasoning, working memory, processing speed, and then a full scale score. And once again, I'm in, really high percentiles, and my overall score is really high. The overall score, you can have like somebody who scores kind of average, and then like they might have one score that's like really high. And then when you look at their full scale, they're probably going to be bumped up a little bit above their normal average score for the other categories because of that one big one. But if you're scoring really high across all of them, you're probably going to score really high as a total. And then the last one, this is the Wide Range Achievement Test, 5th edition. So there's that one. And you can see my math, spelling, and word reading scores. And again, I'm in the 98, 95, and 97th percentiles. My grade equivalent is greater than 12.9, which is expected because I'm higher educated than 12th grade. A little bit, just a little bit. Not like I have, 4 years, well, technically 5 years of undergrad, followed by 3 years of pharmacy school and 2 years of post-pharmacy education and residency training. So, yeah, the rest of it is stuff like ADHD, self-report scales, continuous performance test, which is a measure of your ability to like pay attention and stay focused on a task. Autism spectrum, autism diagnostic observation schedule, mood disorder questionnaire, etc. There's a whole bunch of them here. They gave me so many tests. But, the other fun thing, in addition to me being just like super genius, it turns out that I also have autism. I'm apparently a high functioning but mild form of autism. So what would have been called Asperger's syndrome in the past, which I had no idea, but it makes it kind of sense why Adkit and I get along so well, since he has Asperger's as well. So maybe there was just some unknown, elucidated, but present understanding between us. So yeah, that's what that is for. And now that I have that diagnosis, we're pretty sure my daughter has autism. She's got a number of very common autistic behaviors as a child, as like a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. And when we were in the office talking to the psychologist for the very first visit, kind of just going over behaviors and stuff with her, he is saying it already sounds like she's got autism. But she recently took her tests, and in the beginning of January, we're going to get her results. And then my son is actually going to get his testing in mid to late January. So my son has had sleep apnea and laryngomalacia his whole life. Laryngomalacia, it's the larynx, the skin around the vocal cords in him when he was an infant, just born, it was floppy. And so when he was breathing, the skin flaps would flop into the airway and obstruct his ability to breathe. He kind of grew out of that, but then he was snoring and he was having apneic episodes while sleeping. Apnea means that you stop breathing. And so then he ended up getting his tonsils and adenoids removed, and he improved drastically in the couple weeks after that procedure, but then he went right back to normal. And so we were wondering if something else was going on. And just the other week, they did a sleep endoscopy. So they put him under anesthesia. They put the scope down through his nose, down into his throat, to see if he had any obstruction in his turbinates, which are part of the sinuses, or if he had regrowth of his adenoids, just what kind of surgical thing they might be able to correct. And it turns out none of the above. My son has a tongue. The base of your tongue, where it attaches, is all the way in the back of your mouth by your throat. And while he's sleeping, his muscles relax and his tongue just kind of moves back a little bit and closes off his throat. It pushes up against the epiglottis and obstructs him. And so that they don't treat that surgically. The treatment for that is sleep on your side or your stomach, preferably stomach, because that's the most bestest. So he's doing that for now. And then now that we've figured that out and there isn't something surgical to correct, he'll go get his psychological testing. We didn't want him to get tested because with apnea, you lose sleep. And so my son is basically chronically tired. And in small children, that tiredness manifests as hyperactivity. He is just constantly bouncing off the walls. And so we are going to, we wanted to make sure there wasn't anything to correct there before having him tested, because that would influence, the results of his test if he's being so hyperactive, but it turns out it's because of lack of sleep rather than he has like hyperactivity disorder or something. So anyway, that's where those came from, and that's what this is. And I'm just desperately hoping that the microphone is actually working, because I'm in my car, and sometimes my car steals control of my phone in ways that I I did not agree to. Until next time, bye-bye.